Hello everybody, this is Steve from Old Boy Moto. G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 for the CB1100f. As you know, I was going to do some repairs on it. And I've got my parts here. So I got a brand new set of boots for the manifold, because I was thinking that because a couple of the old ones had some fairly significant cracks and stuff and they're fairly old, the bike just wasn't running properly. At idle it was popping. Yeah, sort of sounded like it was running on 3 cylinders, so I think that the airflow into the through the manifolds were sort of causing that problem. I hope that's right, so I'm going to put those on today. And also I'm in two minds about putting new rubbers in the calipers, because not long ago I bought a aftermarket set of rubbers for the calipers and I cleaned them up and did the whole job, put them in. I don't know whether they're 100%. They seem to be pretty tight, and I'm wondering whether that's because it really hasn't had a decent run in. I haven't taken the bike out and loosened the, the calipers up, used the brakes, so to speak. So I'm going to check them out, and if there's any leaks there or any seepage, I will change them over. As I mentioned in the other video, I was going to do this, but like I said, I'm just in two minds about that one. I've got original parts, and if there is seepage there, I will change them now. This is the thing with aftermarket parts, you never know whether you're going to get a really good job or not. And also, I bought some brake pads, and I'll definitely be putting those in because the brake pads that are on the bike at the moment are worn, and it's pretty refreshing to see this brand here is a new friend. They're just organic, but it's actually made in Italy, so it's a European make. It's good to see some parts out there that aren't made in China. Unlike these things. A little bit disappointed with these. If you look inside there, I don't know if you can see right in there. I'll try and get some light in there, but they're pretty rough. These are original Honda ones, and the barrel part of them there are very smooth. And these ones here, where they've been manufactured, you can see how rough they are. So yeah, that's the thing when you're buying aftermarket stuff, you never know what you're going to get. It's going to be cheaper, but usually it's not going to be as good. So anyway, bear with us, and I'll rip one of these calipers off and we'll have a good look at it, see if there's any seepage there. And also I'll show you the method I use to push the pistons out. Yeah, just if you're not set up properly, you need to use your master cylinder to push the pistons out. So what I do is I just do one side at a time, reassemble it, put it on the bike, and that way the other side can be pushed out if need be. So anyway, there's a bit to that if I've got to replace those rubbers. Yeah, so with the old Honda calipers, pretty simple stuff. This one comes off first. That's the main mounting nut bolt, and this one comes off second so it doesn't seesaw. So pretty easy really. Yeah, so basically only taken 2 bolts out and a bit of rubbers and stuff going on there. That's pretty tight on there. Yeah, so just looking at it, just underneath there just seems to be a little bit of seepage. Not sure about that, but anyway, we'll check it out and see whether we need to replace them rubbers. Now what I've got to do is I've just got to undo that and pull these pins out, and it will release my brake pads. Now these were older pads, and I tried to give them a bit of a sandpaper to get them flat, but obviously you just can't do it unless you've got some sort of milling machine type of thing. So you can see what was happening. They were only contacting half the disc, so they're gone. You know, that's why I bought new ones. I'll get rid of those, and I'll check around those pistons to make sure I haven't got any significant leaks. And if it's okay, I might just let them wear in for a while with those aftermarket rubbers that I put in there and see how we go. But I can see a little bit of dampness there, so I'm not real keen on having them leak, you know. So anyway, I'll just get these brake pads out. One and two, and that's them out. And as you can see, they're just out of shape. What I tried to do was flatten it out, you know, a little bit, because they were a bit damaged, and obviously that hasn't, you know, and there was quite a bit of meat in those, but not much I can do about them unless I can get those dead flat. So I'll end up in the rubbish bin. And these were expensive. They were sintered ones. So let's have a look at what we've got. Yeah, it's not looking too bad there actually. I'm not sure whether that's just condensation from the bike sitting around in the cold. But yeah, they're pretty tight. And like I said, I put aftermarket rubbers in these calipers. Now there's no significant big leaks or anything, so I'm going to let it go for a little while and run these rubbers and see if they bed in properly. I'm going to have to start riding the bike a bit more. So while I've got that off like that, if I was to change the rubbers, what I would do is I would use the hydraulic system of the bike to push those pistons out for me, because they are really hard to get out. So you need some sort of hydraulic push, and that's just the normal bike operation. So you'd leave the other side in, so all the pressure comes to this side and pushes your pistons out, and then you're ready to do what you want. And then you reassemble this back on the bike with your pads and everything ready to go, and you do the same thing to the other side so that you can use the normal bike pressure to remove your other pistons, if you can follow me. Otherwise it can be a real pain in the arse. You have to set up a system on your bench, you know, to do that, where you can do it on the bike. It saves a lot of time and messing around. So I'm happy with those. I'm not going to go putting the new rubbers in the calipers. I'll let these bed in and see how we go, and if I'm not happy and if there's any leakage, I will replace them at a later date. Yeah, so what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm using the old brake pads to push those pistons in so they give me enough room. So there seems to be plenty of room there now. I'll go, you know, I don't want to go too far in. That's about what I need, so I'll put some new brake pads on there and reassemble it, and we should be away. Yeah, so guys, when you're ever doing brakes like this, just make sure you look at your pins. It's easy to make a mistake. You know, if you put them around the wrong way and run them in that way and put your clip over that, it's not going to hold anything. So these go this way, and through your brake calipers, and they come out the other side so that this retaining clip slides on, and you bolt it down and holds everything in place. It's quite easy to make a mistake, and it could be very costly. Yep, so that's how the clip should look, and will stop your pins from coming out. And as you can see, the advantage you get by pushing the pistons way back in is plenty of room, so that when you reassemble it, you've got plenty of room to slide it over your disc. What I'll do is I'll give that disc a bit of a clean up too before I put it on, just to save any crud getting on the new brake pads. Yeah, righto guys, so I'm just about to put the main mount on. Now what I'm putting on that, because it's a sliding part, it actually just slides a little bit. Some people use grease, but I'm a big believer in this stop seize stuff. It just never seems to to dry out or anything. It's got mineral oil in it as well, and it just keeps everything really nice. So that's one thing to watch out for if you've got sliding parts on brakes, because brakes don't just sit static. The calipers need to slide around and move around a bit. So whenever I take these apart or whatever, you know, I'm doing something to them, I check that there's a little bit of grease. Obviously that boot goes in between there and that just seals the grease in there. So that's what I'm doing there, and I'll check these ones too before I put it back. Okay, so I've got them all lubed up, the parts that needed to. Calipers are sitting on there nicely. So what I'll do is I'll just do a torque up. I've already done the 2 smaller ones. That's it, that's all we want. So I've got my little Honda book, so my torque values are right, and it just gives you peace of mind that they're on there properly. So that's all good and done, and the last thing to do is to pinch this little sucker up, which is the lock. Now that's last because you need the caliper on there to get a bit of strength. Now I don't know what the torque value is, but a nice little pinch up is good. All done that side, so basically the other side's a repeat of this side, so I won't go through that. Yeah, okay, so we've got the other side on. We got brand new calipers. Now, just the last thing I did was that I just checked my lever just to make sure that there was plenty there, so that's pretty good. I've got a good solid brake, there's no sponginess about it, so it's pretty good. And remember to do that. You don't want to get on the bike and go for a ride and then find you got nothing and you got to pump away before you get something. So that's all good. And I've also spun the wheel around just to make sure it's free, it's not binding. That's still pretty tight, and I think that's because they're still bedding in. So hopefully it should settle in okay. Now if I find that the wheel's tight, you know, and it's very tight and you can't push the bike around, well, it's no good. It means the rubbers are too tight, and that's after a bit of riding, obviously. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Otherwise there'll be another video on how to replace them rubbers, because there's quite a bit to it, a bit of messing around. So yeah guys, so I'm just about to go and have a bit of lunch, and just to make fitting these a bit easier, I've just put them on my wood heater here in the workshop, and I'll go home and have a bit of lunch and then come back. Obviously that's not, you know, too hot, and these can handle heat obviously because they're, you know, manifold rubbers, so that'll just make them a bit more pliable. So what'll happen is when I go to fit them, I won't be struggling and I won't take chips out of them. They should slide straight on. And what I will do also is I'll use a little bit of this isoporic alcohol, which is good on rubber when you're fitting stuff, because what happens is the isoporic alcohol will just dissipate and it won't rot the rubber or anything. It'll just evaporate. But you know, if you're putting oil and stuff on rubber, well, you know, the oil eventually, or grease, will start to deteriorate your rubber. So that's what I'll do as I'm fitting it, and hopefully that'll take care of that really rough popping and stuff like that, I'm praying. Righto guys, had a bit of lunch, and I'll put my warm boots on. So it's ready to have the carbies slipped on. So what I might do is I'll just run a little bit of isoporic alcohol over the carbies there, you can see that. That'll just, so when I go to slip them on, they should just slip on in the boots there. Just a little bit on there. That'll run over them and might look messy, but that'll just evaporate. So I'll just slip these on. Yeah, righto guys, so we managed to get that on there. I didn't take a clip of it, didn't want to put you through the agony because there's quite a bit of messing around. When you buy aftermarket stuff, it's never the same, and it took a little bit of took a little bit of mucking around there. They're not even numbered, you know, so I had to line them up, make sure they were straight and even then they didn't fit, and I ended up pulling one end on, tightening it up, and then pushing the rest of it back on, and it is a good tight fit. They're right up to where they should be, so there won't be any air leaking in there, so I'm hoping that's all good. I'll put the tank back on and we'll give her a fire up and see if it's any different. This is where you put your hands together and pray. Yeah, so guys, so I've got the tank back on, we've got some fuel happening, so I'll give her a kick. I've just run it actually, so it's a little bit warm. So there we go. Well, she fires up all right. I'm not sure whether we got rid of that popping. What I'd like to do is take it for a nice run and let everything bed in. If you want to see how those brakes are, and see if we can get those to bed in, and I'll just keep working on the front brake. I did actually have a look at the front brake after I put it on, just messing around here before, and it does feel a little bit spongy, just wondering whether there's a little bit of air inside there somewhere. So anyway, I'll take it for a test run. I'll put the seat back together actually first and put it all back, check my tyres, make sure everything's right and safe, and go for a run, and then come back and we'll have a look at her. Yeah, right, so she's outside. I'll go and get myself all organised. I might even put the camera on the helmet, see how we go. I better put some side covers on. Oh, doesn't really matter. Okay guys, here we go. I've got the silly microphone in my helmet, so let's hope that works. I just thought I'd go for a ride with that on, and let's see what happens. Well, she started. Righto, we'll take her for a bit of a run. She's carrying on and farting a bit, I don't know. We'll see what happens. It doesn't sound too bad when you get the revs up a bit. But I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and she still sounds a bit raspy. Did you hear that? I don't know. She's still not warmed, so let's see how we go after she's warmed up. Well, I reckon, I don't know, I think the carbies are okay, but yeah, it's a matter of deduction with these old bikes. The first thing you usually do is clean the carbies out, you know. Yeah, the brakes are pretty good. They're sort of bedding in a bit. Make sure I'm hitting the brakes a bit. Yeah, I don't know. There just seems to be something there. It sounds more like a triple than a four. It just seems to have that little, don't know. She still runs, still goes okay. It just, yeah, just has that funny sound. Bugger, you know, like sometimes you think, oh, I've got it, you know, I've found the problem. Well, look, I can tell you something, it's running a lot better than it was. Like, I could hardly get it to idle before with those split boots. At least we know the boots are okay. I'll let them sit there for a while, and that way they'll stretch out to the new fit, and
they'll be easier to get on and off, but not sure if I even have to look at the shims again. Could have a crook valve. Ah, she runs beautiful when it's bloody going properly. It's just a joy to ride. 1983, and just it handles beautifully, you know, a little bit heavy like they all were in the old days, but just a joy, you know, handling wise for the era. And I love it. I've had this bike a long time, and it's just become part of the family, so couple of horses back there, didn't want to see them bolt off. Seen that happen. Not nice. The bikes seem to scare horses and dogs. Yeah, so now she's pretty warm. Now she's sounding a lot better, actually. It's just a bit of response there now and everything, so it's pretty good. So I'll put a little bit of carby cleaner through it, a little bit of good stuff. When I store this bike, or just before I store this bike, what I do is I put a couple of caps of carby cleaner, and I use the good stuff. I use the stuff made in Germany. It's called Molly, and it cleans the gunk out of them. It cleans the varnishing that'll happen if you leave them sitting around. But not only that, what I do is I put a bit of that in, and I put some fuel stabilizer, which will keep the petrol good. It keeps it from deteriorating for 2 years. So yeah, because look, our fuel these days is useless. It's good for 3 months, and that's it. Then it starts to deteriorate and starts to go off. You can even smell it. It's horrible. Not like the old super that you could keep that in a tank for a year and it'd be as good as the day you put it in, because it had lead in it, obviously, and all that shit, all the nice stuff that used to make you sick. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I do when I store my bikes, and I make sure I ride them before I switch them off, so that the additives go into the carbies. There's no point just putting it in the tank. All it'll do is just keep the stuff in the tank from going off. You don't want anything going off in the carbies. That's what it's about. So if you're storing your bike for more than 3 months, you need to put some sort of additive in there to keep the fuel from going off. Highly recommended. I use Penrite. I don't use any rubbish. I use Penrite for me stabilizers, and I use that Molly stuff. Gee, these brakes are good now. Yeah, really going well. They're starting to bed in already. That's what we wanted. It's what we wanted. Look, the brakes on these old bikes aren't great anyway, so the better you can have them, the better they are. There's customizations you can do to this. You can put a GSXR front end on it, GSXR 600 front end. All you got to do is change out the bearings in the yoke and that sort of thing, and the front end goes straight on, and you know, and they're brilliant brakes. Also, you can put a mono shock in the back of these. You know, you just got do a couple of mods, and there's some fantastic CB1100f customs getting around. Some people have just done some amazing stuff. They're works of art, you know, and they've made them modern bikes because, you know, the engines are a very high performance engine, and they can handle the power and all that. So, you know, they've upgraded their suspensions and done all sorts of things to them. And, you know, a hotted up engine in one of these, I'll tell you what, it's a force to reckon with even these days. Yeah, so Honda did a good thing. Yeah, so she's fully warmed up. Now that's the little popping I've been getting. It's not too bad, it'll pop every now and then. Right, so we've got brand new boot rubbers on the manifolds. I'll tell you what, that has improved. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a line somewhere that's sucking a bit of air. Ah, it could be anything. You know, with these old bikes, you never know. Anyway, I'll get down the straight here. Do a bit of a blast. I can smell the brakes, so they're bedding in alright and getting rid of that old mark on it from the other brake pads. Anyway, we'll see how we go. No one behind us. Oh, yeah, should get up and go, no worries. Ah, it sounds pretty good. Yeah, so anyway, that'll do for the test drive. I'll just pedal around with these brakes and get them bedded in. I think my problem is I don't ride this enough, and she hates me for it. And here we go. Hear the brakes still gripping a bit. That should sort itself out after a few more runs. Yeah, right, so she seems to be running a lot better. Brakes have cleaned themselves up. They're starting to bed in, so it's getting a nice pattern on there now. And my brakes are fine, and they're stopping really well. And that's idling a lot better. I'm not getting any popping out of there. Maybe one or two once every now and then. I don't know whether it'll be a little shim job or something, but anyway, it's nothing major. And that rattling you hear there, that's inherent to these bikes. They had a clutch rattle in them, but that's idling pretty well. So yeah, one pop there, that's no big deal. So going to get myself organised and go and take her in for another run and get a bit of shopping done. See you guys. Thanks for watching.